got a hunting cat, y'all. His name is Leaf. Look. Leaf, what's up? He's a bobcat. Straight up bobcat. Like, look how muscular he is. He's like a watch cat. Yeah. So when my cat Charlie died, I had a cat that we had rescued off of Wilson Street, because you know they had that cat problem there for a while, and I don't know if they still have it or not, but anyway, over there on Wilson they had that cat problem. And so one night Haskell brings home this cat, this little baby cat, an orange cat, named it Charlie. Alright, so then my granddaddy and my Uncle Greg die back to back within one day of each other, not long after we get Charlie. I don't know, Charlie was like a couple of months old. And so on the day that we buried them, we had like a double funeral, blocked off Evelyn Gandy Parkway, come rolling through Petal with 2 camps and caskets, going to Greens Creek. And after we did all that, I remember like I came home and I changed clothes, and I was like, I'm gonna get my cat. I don't know why I don't even know why I felt possessed to do this, but I was like, let's load up Charlie and go over to Granddaddy's land, which is over, you know, it's on the 40 acres that my dad lives on. And so I was like, let's go over here, see the family, go over there with Charlie, and let Charlie out when we get there. And then no more than I'm inside 5 minutes, pack of dogs maul Charlie. So Charlie's dead at this point. So I have a nervous breakdown, all right, because I've just buried my granddaddy, the paternal, you know, the patriarch of the camp. So, you know, we've buried my granddaddy, we've buried my Uncle Greg, Freebird, with arrowheads on his damn tombstone. And so obviously I'm already like emotional. And then I go to my family land afterwards, and then my cat, which wasn't really like that sentimental to me. I mean, I hate to say it like that. It was just a cat that we rescued off of Wilson. But like, just the sheer fact that this happened was so traumatic for me. I remember that I sat in my granddad's front yard and screamed and cried for like, I don't even know how long it was. It was so long though. Like, screamed and cried, like, God, why are you punishing me? Why are you doing this to me? I can't handle anymore. You've taken everything I love. I mean, just went to town, man. I was screaming at the sky. And I remember when I was doing that, like, some of my family members, like maybe, like I think my aunt and my uncle or something, were inside, and they never came outside. Nobody came outside ever at any point to check on me. And I mean, I was like screaming like to the top of my lungs, crying. My dad was up at his house, which is down the hill and up the hill, and he was over there, I think maybe like either Lance Reed's wife, Miss Sherry, or like the Nagy's. Somebody had stopped by over there and was talking to my dad, so he wasn't at, you know, my granddad's when this happened. But anyway, so I'm sitting in the yard screaming to the sky, and I remember, like, you know, we live on the pipeline, and I remember the sky looking like really kind of like hazy, like that chemical look, you know. And so I remember looking up, and I see this airplane. It was like an old school airplane. Like, I don't know what kind of airplane it was, but it didn't look like it was, you know, modern. And circled in the air around my granddaddy's property 3 times. I'm sitting in the yard screaming to God, you know, asking him to please have mercy on us. And this airplane just out of nowhere flies the pipeline, comes and does three circles in the sky, and then flies off. And after that, I remember I got up and I walked, because I'd called my dad and told him what had happened to Charlie. And I remember I got up and I walked to his house, and I get there, and I'm just, you know, tears, like just I just look like, you know, I've just gone through something terrible, and I'm sweating. And so I walk up there, and he's like, here, baby, go inside, you know, because I'm 30 something years old, but I'm still my dad's baby girl. So he's like, you know, how I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it right, don't you worry, you go sit inside on my recliner and cool off, and just let me handle this. And so he goes into his armoire, and he gets like a gun out. All right, my dad, I've never seen my dad shoot a gun. He does not go hunting. He's a blue collar, you know, like good old boy, but he's just, I've never actually witnessed my dad like use a weapon. Okay, so that's not to say he doesn't know how to use a weapon. I'm just saying he's never been that type of person to like shoot guns and stuff that I know of. So he goes and gets this gun out of his like armoire, which by the way looks like something off of like Narnia or something, or the ward, you know, the thing where you walk into the actual wardrobe and it goes into Narnia. That's what my dad's actual I think he may have even gotten it like custom made to look like this. So he gets this gun out, and he's like, I'll be right back. I'm like, oh my God, and he's about to go shoot a pack of dogs. And so he goes up to the hill, as we call it, and I just hear a bunch of gunshots ring, and I'm like, well, either he's, you know, something's either hurt, dead, or he's hit nothing, you know, he's hitting air in the ground, who knows at this point. But at least it made me feel better in that moment, like he was going to do something about it. So anyways, long story short, after all that took place, you know, I was heartbroken because Charlie was my first cat, really, that like I was raising from a baby up. And so it was just kind of, you know, it was rough. And then on top of that, my family and all that, what we were going through with COVID and stuff. And so I remember my dad was like, what if you got like, you know, what if there was like a cat that had really, really cool markings and like specific, you know, like rare and all this stuff. And he describes to me this animal, like this cat or whatever, that I guess he, in his head, in that moment made up to make me feel better. And I was like, yeah, I would love that. And so then a few days later, I'm at Grand Central Outfitters, and I mean, I kid you not, I'm in the backyard of Grand Central, and I look down and I hear something go, meow, and look up at me. And it was Leaf. And he was a little adolescent thing at the time, living on the streets. And he just like came out of the shadows and looked up at me and like spoke to me. And I was like, he's coming home with me. I named him Leaf. And he's been here ever since. And he is a warrior. I mean, like, look at him. He's like a watch cat. He watches everything. And he's like, he can kill. And so, you know, he comes home with me, of course, because why not? Name him Leaf. And then actually, I don't remember which came first. These things happened so quick, back to back. It was either right before this or right after this. One day, Haskell's mom and dad stopped by randomly at like 7 o'clock in the morning on like a Saturday or something. His mom knocks on the door, opens the door, drops a kitten off, a white cat that's like too small to even be away from its parents, drops it inside of our house and was like, here's you a cat to replace the one that got mauled by dogs, and leaves. And so that cat ended up being Petal, because she looks like the first Petal mascot. So Petal and Leaf had kittens. We've raised a few litters. We've done the whole cat cafe thing. I never want any more cats in my life because they really are destructive. But Leaf is my homie. He's inside and outside. He comes with me everywhere I go. He wakes Layla up in the mornings with cuddles. And he's my homie. And, you know, we had a dog named Chop and a dog named Forrest. Both of those dogs, Chop died a tragic death, which was just as heartbreaking and awful during this whole entire time when all this was going on. We had a duck that was killed. We had Forrest. We had to rehome him. We had 2 dogs come onto our property one morning at 10 o'clock in the morning and kill one of our kittens, Ringo, one of our kittens from the litter. So we've had some definite trauma back to back, but I don't want to take away from the beauty in it all. which is our family has come closer, our community has come closer, and we've really learned who really has our back and who's out to eliminate us. And we've really had to come together during these past few years as a family and kind of like reconvene and be like, okay, how are we going to survive this, and how are we going to keep each other alive, and how are we going to take care of each other, because we were taking hits. I'm talking back to back, and there would have been more had we not locked down. My stepdad had a botched back surgery. He hasn't walked since. My uncle went into Pine Belt Mental Health Care's treatment, and they gave him some kind of crazy medicine shot that made him catatonic, and he still, to this moment, will not get out of bed. These are people, you know, that grew up in Petal, that have friends that they went to school with, played football with, and community members that knew my mom and dad and knew their siblings. And when they ask me, hey, how's your family doing? You know, they know, or I'm starting to tell them now, hey, we need some help. We need some support. We're not doing well. And, you know, as far as my stepdad goes, he's a veteran, and he was in the Army and then in the National Guard, and for 35 years was a highway patrolman, and had 25 years in the National Guard, and then some years in the Army, and then he was a private investigator, homicide detective, worked under the state auditor, worked his way all the way up in the ranks, and then came out in 2009, disabled, retired, and he's in his 80s. And to see how the world treats our veterans when they age out or get to the point where they can no longer be continuously recycled and put through surgery after surgery after surgery, when you start to get to that point in their life where that's no longer an option, you really start to see how cruel or negligent or just heartless the world is. And we've really experienced that in the past few years. And so I decided that I would join forces with the good guys, and that we would build an organization from the ground up that could solve these problems, in part at least. And so that's what Soldiers Freedom Outdoors does. And although that organization was formed more than a decade ago in Florida, the Mississippi extension started 2 years ago, exactly in March, under the leadership of Kevin and Cindy Wittenberg out of Petal here. We have an advisory committee. I'm on it, and so is Cindy and Kevin. We've got some other people on it, Kelly Stout, Jerry Richards. And so, again, community coming together and saying, we will not tolerate this. We are going to do something about it, even if we don't have funding right now, even if we're having to build it from the ground up, even if we're having to volunteer and not earn a salary for full-time work, even if we're doing this and making these sacrifices. We know it's absolutely necessary that we choose patriotism over comfort right now, and that we choose honoring our veterans, and this is what that looks like. So for the past 2 years, we have been on a mission to build this extension to the point where we could purchase a permanent location for retreats, so that we can send our veterans on no-cost retreats. Their families and themselves, they go for free, and they get to stay in a relaxing atmosphere where volunteers serve them and take care of them and make sure that they have what they need, and cook for them, and listen to them talk if they need that, whatever they need. They're there. There's people there for this. Hunting, fishing, blacksmithing, kayaking, canoeing, horseback riding, all of these other amenities as well. But healing the hidden wounds of war through outdoor therapy is the mission, and it works. And so we are very fortunate that we were able to link up with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Fourth Day Ministries, who actually had Camp Marydale in Meridian. Johnny Ford is the private owner, but the Fellowship of Christian Athletes is a major organization, and so they, I think in 2019, acquired Camp Marydale for similar reasons, to use it for a retreat location for camps and team building and things like that. And so they were interested in expanding their mission and their reach. We were interested in purchasing the property and all of the property around it. So we have signed a 5-year purchase agreement to purchase Camp Marydale. It's already underway. We already have retreats scheduled there happening already. Our official unveiling will be April 20th, where we have the new signage and all of that that's going to be unveiled. Y'all have seen my coverage of this. I'm not going to go all the way into the details. The property is super cool and super historic. An old Girl Scouts camp in Meridian, Mississippi, is now used for the second location for Soldiers Freedom Outdoors to host their retreats. The first location is at headquarters in Melrose, Florida, Camp Freedom, 350 acres. That retreat location has been in operation for some time now. So this Mississippi extension will give the organization a chance to reach more veterans and specifically have a hub in the South Central United States. So we think it's going to make a huge difference. And I'm really, I haven't even slowed down the past 2 years. I've been working so hard on this project along with everyone else who's involved. I haven't even until recently slowed down to say, okay, it's time to get my stepdad to a retreat. But just the other day I took those first steps for that. So because of this organization, and it's super simple, you just need certain forms, which Cindy facilitates all of this. You communicate with Cindy. She knows exactly what to ask for. As long as you're honorably discharged or active duty, you qualify for these benefits, for these resources. And so we have a simple process for applying to come to a retreat. I've got those steps in the works now for my stepdad. We're even going to try, like I said, he hasn't walked in 3 years. He has been trying to relearn how to walk after a bad back surgery. And he's in a lot of pain all the time. He is somehow remarkably, I guess this is the military in him, he's able to get up in the mornings and get himself to the shower to shower. So he is somewhat mobile, but he's just in a tremendous amount of pain, to the point where he's missed almost all of his post-op neurosurgery appointments because he just cannot get, my mom cannot physically get him to the doctor. It hurts too much for him to get in the car and go. And so they just give up. And no one has met them in the middle and said, hey, we can do telehealth, we can do this, whatever. So he's had to just completely go without pain medicine and without the care he needs because of these technicalities. So we're going to try to fly him, if we can, to Camp Marydale, have him escorted onto that property, him and my mother, set up in a bunkhouse that is handicap accessible. We're going to cook for them. We're going to provide them with whatever they want for that weekend. If we can, we're going to try to take them around the property to see all of the bunks and the Girl Scouts memorabilia, and my mom as well. She was a Girl Scout, so she remembers these camps. And I just think it's going to be super healing particularly because Camp Marydale reminds me of being in the mountains, and we've always been a mountains type family. My Nana and Paw actually own a cabin at the top of a mountain in Tennessee, and if we could get there we would, but we can't. And so my mom has not left the house in 7 years, and my stepdad has been in this condition for 3 going on 4 years. And at this point, it's, the least we can do is give them a change of scenery. So we're going to make that happen, and it's all because of Soldiers Freedom Outdoors. So if you've been following this journey and you want to learn more, you can do that at www.soldiersfreedomoutdoors.org. Thanks for listening.